we finally got our list for the last two games of the World Cup qualifiers in South America. And it's been interesting to see the internet just go wild with certain call-ups that were made, and in a sense rightly so, but in another sense it's kind of like, what else did you expect at this point? We should all know what Beccacece is going to give us. But in this video I'll be sharing my thoughts and reactions to that list. To start, he called up the following goalkeepers. He has Galíndez, Valle, Cabezas, and Moises Ramirez, with Moises Ramirez obviously being the one with the most controversy, the most disagreement. And don't get me wrong, it's a just criticism of his call-up. He recently made the move to Greece, and based on a few reports that I'm seeing online, it looks like he still isn't top level. And I haven't personally watched the game, so I can't say that for a fact. Just because maybe the results aren't going your way in your club, it doesn't always mean you're personally to blame. And with this, I'm not trying to make a case for Ramirez. Like I said, I haven't watched the games, but at the same time, I find it really interesting, the reactions, the above and beyond reactions I've seen online. I think most of us already knew that he was going to be on this list. And once he made the move to Greece, I think that was actually a positive move for him and would contribute to him being on this list, because it shows that he has an initiative to try to get better, try to find playing time. And I think Beccacece saw the same thing. I've also seen people suggest that he still hasn't made up his mind for which three he's going to bring to the World Cup, so that's why he keeps calling four. And the only thing that comes to mind is Beccacece will, out of nowhere, throw a curveball at you. Because if you look at the rules for the World Cup roster, in regards to goalkeepers, it really only talks about a minimum of three that need to be there. It doesn't say you can't have four. So I don't know, a part of me just wouldn't discount having four goalkeepers at the World Cup, which obviously wouldn't make any sense, but there you have it. For center backs, he has Hincapié, Pacho, Torres, Ordóñez, and Arriaga. And real quick, I'm going to highlight Hincapié for a second. I know that the big question was if he made the right move going to Arsenal. And I agree that there's pros and cons to whether he should go or stay. Ultimately, he decided to leave. And for me, I think that's the best option. I think the way that Leverkusen was heading was very uncertain, and with the new manager, with a completely new squad basically, even if Hincapié was to have all the playing time in the world, the standards of the club is not the same as it was before, so he would naturally dip in level, I think. And it was time for a new challenge. He won it all in Germany, and with his move to Arsenal, I think he's going to have a stable technical and tactical approach, and a lot of other players to learn from. Torres could be considered another player that is kind of questionable on the list, and it just has to do with his recent form and the amount of playing time he's had in Corinthians. But like I said, and I've said this before, he's a player that's always shown up for the national team, so there's no reason why he shouldn't be on this list. And then you have the highly criticized Arriaga, who has a lot of fans just spinning their head and trying to understand why he's on this list, which to me, it's been expected. He is a player that Beccacece does not rely on the field, but is more of an off the field well-being, collective well-being type of player. He knows how to have the boys together spiritually from a religious standpoint. And I mean, there's different ways to gather the team spiritually, religiously. Many teams have their team chaplain that travels with them and, spiritually is there for the boys. But I'm just trying to put myself in Beccacece's shoes and trying to understand why he does this. And I mean, the only thing I could think of is just having somebody there that has also been in their shoes and understands the pressures that come with playing, and also having somebody that can gather the team spiritually. For the right back and left backs, he has Preciado, Estupiñán, Christian Ramirez, and Medina. With Preciado, I expect him to be back in the starting lineup. He is past his injury. He is playing for club. He's had a respectable performance for club, and he could contribute in that attack. So I definitely expect them to be starting versus Paraguay or Argentina. Something to note is Christian Ramirez transferred to Lokomotiv of Russia. I can't say I'm an expert on the Russian league, but I've seen many countries make their call-ups from that league, so that leads me to believe that it is pretty competitive, to the point where national teams find it beneficial to call their players from there. And that also is a reflection of Ramirez to show that he still doesn't want to be left behind. He wants to get better and be in the best shape possible for the World Cup. In the center midfield, we have Caicedo, Franco, Vite, Castillo, Mercado, and Alcivar. And perhaps the doubtful center mid of the group being Alcivar, and we have to remember that Franco is suspended for the game versus Paraguay, so maybe this is why Beccacece decided to try someone else. And I'm happy at least that he didn't call Mendes. I'd rather maybe have Alcivar there. He's been consistent with Independiente del Valle, but at the same time, when I think quality center defensive mid or defensive players in general, Alcivar doesn't always come to mind. I know that in the past he's been called up before, but never really established himself as a regular national team player. It's going to be interesting to see how Vite performs in these two games. We know that recently he made a move to Mexico for Pumas, and from a club standpoint, they haven't had the best run. I personally blame the manager. I don't think that the manager is going to last in that team, so I expect him to be booted soon, and hopefully they get somebody good, but it's definitely going to affect Vite some way or another with the national team, and I hope it doesn't affect them so much. Obviously, it was a mistake to go to Mexico. I don't know why he made that decision. Obviously, they were offering him high levels of money, which he, I guess, preferred. As wing players, we have Baez, Yeboah, Alan Minda, Gonzalo Plata, Wawa, and Angulo. The good news being that Baez is finally getting competitive minutes. Even though the league just started, there kind of has been a debate whether he should already be considered a starting player or not. I personally believe he should. I think that he was criticized for maybe his speed and maybe his physical, athletic conditions in the game. I think in general, speed has never been his true attribute, but his touch, his dribble, his creativity is his strong standpoint. So I personally think he should already start. I think he is match fit. He already started a game in France, and there should be no reason why he can't start for Ecuador. For our attackers, we have Ener Valencia, Kevin Rodriguez, Mercado, and Leonardo Campana. For some reason, I see some lists have John Mercado as a striker, even though I know he can be a winger, but they have him as striker, so I'll keep him as a striker. Especially with Kevin Rodriguez and Campana, it's been a clear indicator how in this sport, tables can turn so quickly, because a few months ago we were talking about how we literally have the worst striker situation in the continent, but recently these two have been on fire for their club. I personally have Rodriguez as probably my number one choice to start, just because Ener Valencia has not been on point lately. Campana has been scoring, but I think I'm a bigger fan when it comes to choosing from a European league compared to the MLS. Kevin Rodriguez has, I think, more speed, probably a little bit more of physical than Campana. So I think Rodriguez should be the one starting against Paraguay. For my closing thoughts about this list, it again just reiterates what's important to Beccacece, which is collective continuity. For him, it's not really the top importance of your form. Are you scoring? Are you not scoring? Are you having minutes? Are you not having minutes? But it's more about just having a group of players, and whether they're going through a good time or bad time, just trying to grow from the collective, maybe mental standpoint. In this list, we are missing Realpe from Portugal, who should be there instead of Arriaga. We do not need 3 goalkeepers. We should use that spot for maybe a player in the attack like Anderson Julio, or try out some local league or player that we haven't seen in a while that just somewhat deserves an opportunity, because again, whether you show on the field that you deserve an opportunity is not something that Beccacece holds to the highest regard. I'm personally okay with not seeing Sarmiento on this list. I've seen some suggest that maybe Guagua should come out, Sarmiento in. I think only time will tell. Sarmiento recently made a move to Italy. He hasn't had anything going yet, so once he maybe settles in, gets some minutes, gets some good performances, then he'll make an argument for himself. But for the time being, I think Guagua is just fine, because on the other hand, he is getting minutes, he is getting interest from abroad, and if he gets sold that way, it's only better for us. Ultimately, I think we got a list of players that we expected, and to end on a positive note, I think going into these 2 games with having strikers that have been scoring, even though Ener Valencia has dipped, but the other 2 are doing good, we also have a list that has a little bit of everything. We have experience, we have players playing in top clubs, and we also have young players that are growing. So that's something that I'm going to walk away with, and ultimately walk into these 2 games hopefully expecting the best from the national team.